the nation's commercial capital. This is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reported tonight, Ijoma Oyato.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Ebola scare hits Anambra State following discovery of a corpse of an indigent brought into the state from Liberia. National Council of States orders state governors to stop discriminatory practices against non-indigents, also renews commitment to One Nigeria. Probe panel set up to investigate Governor Tanko Almakura of Nasarawa State holds inaugural session today. And United States rejects explanations on the shelling of a UN school in Gaza.
And on business news tonight, federal government launches 10,000 units mortgage scheme.
Sports news, Blessing Okagbare shows class as she sprints to victory in the women's 200 meters at the 2014 Commonwealth Games.
The unity of Nigeria will not be compromised, and this is the resolve of members of the National Council of State as they rose from their meeting at the presidential villa today. They condemned in strong terms the attempt by some state governments to register non-indigents residing in their states. And to demonstrate their resolve to stop any attempt to cause disharmony in the country, the Council set up a committee to identify all discriminatory practices across Nigeria. This is with a view to asking the National Assembly to enact a law to end all such practices wherever they exist in the country. Present at the meeting, which was presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan, were 5 former Nigerian leaders: General Yakubu Gowon, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, General Ibrahim Babangida, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, and Chief Ernest Shonekon, among others.
It was a well-attended extraordinary council meeting featuring 5 former leaders.
Father God, we thank you for this day.
They sat for 6 hours from about 11 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the evening when they briefed on the outcome. Akwa Ibom State Governor and his Niger State counterpart said the Council of State x-rayed the role of Nigerian citizens and the leadership as they concern the lingering reports of discrimination across the states. Council condemns it and sets up a committee to find out the solution, while at the same time condemning politicians on inflammatory statements.
The Council, in the course of conclusions, decided to set up a committee to further discuss with Nigerians and identify discriminatory practices across board in all states of the Federation and in all the local government areas. And then this committee will submit report to Council within the next 2 months in order for us to know what steps to take next to stop such practices. Whether we need to go to the National Assembly, then we will go to the National Assembly. Whether we need to do so through policies at the federal level or policies at the state level or policies at the local government level, just to make sure that the country is totally united and all those discriminatory practices are brought to an end.
We made a resolution to all, and bipartisan or non-partisan, to support the president to make sure that we get rid of this insurgency, and indeed suggestion before December.
The council wonders why Nigerians have forgotten events in history and on the new method of using girls as suicide bombers, a recent method adopted by the Boko Haram.
Those of us who were around remember very well that is how the Civil War started. That is what led to the Araba. This one went home and then they sent back the other people. And we saw the danger and we said, look, there's really need for everybody to be sensitized on this thing. It looks very innocent now to say, well, I have security concerns, so I should register anybody who is not from here. But we don't think of, okay, you have people on the other side What would you feel if they had the same concerns and decided to register everybody who was not from there? That is not the way. The Chibok girls who are in captivity are not under federal government control. The only thing we do is try to address those who are outside, who would have contact with them. There's already a program. If they are released today, we have a program we'll put them through to make sure if there's any indoctrination, we try to at least reduce the intensity if we don't erase it completely.
Council says they are very determined to ensure that Nigeria remains united. They call on the citizens to be patient with the security agents who are working day and night to bring insurgency to an end. Chukwuma Onwepusi, Channels Television News.
To health issues now, and panic is spreading in Anambra State, southeast Nigeria, over fears that the deadly Ebola virus might have reached the state. Tension rose when the news spread that the corpse of an indigene of the state had been brought in from Liberia and deposited in a mortuary in Oyi local government area of the state. However, it has not been confirmed that the deceased died of the Ebola virus. In a telephone interview with Channels Television this evening, the State Commissioner for Health, Jehoshaphat Akabwike, confirmed the incident, saying, however, that the mortuary has been cordoned off and all the attendants and workers have been quarantined pending further tests.
We didn't quite know, but we were just alerted that a corpse of somebody that was living in Liberia was deposited at a mortuary at Unkwere in Oyi local government in Anambra State. And when we had the information, we had to start doing something because knowing what is happening in Liberia now about the Ebola virus. So how the talks came in, we are not sure how it came in. They will have quarantined the mortuary workers, and we also doing the contact tracing of the relation of the disease to make sure that we have already provided the quarantine site where we take them, and also we have also alerted the Federal Ministry of Health. They are coming down tomorrow so that we can carry the proper investigation and actually know whether we can ascertain the cause of the death. The documents we could get from the mortician there, they said the patient, they could not ascertain what they wrote, that the patient died on presentation to hospital. They made the person already dead in the hospital. So they didn't say anything that was so categorical of the cause of the death. They said death on arrival. They didn't do any autopsy anything, and that's why we're taking our necessary measures to actually find out what is the cause of the death.
In the meantime, the World Health Organization says it's concerned about the spread of Ebola in West Africa and that it plans to commit $100 million to fighting the outbreak. This lifeline is expected to be announced tomorrow by the head of the World Health Organization and leaders of West African nations affected by the disease. The meeting is scheduled to hold in Guinea tomorrow, where the initiative will be launched. Ebola spreads through human contact with the sufferer's bodily fluids. Initial flu-like symptoms can lead to external hemorrhaging from areas like the eyes and gums, and then internal bleeding, which can lead to organ failure. Now, the campaigners calling for the rescue of the Chibok girls have again asked the federal government to explore all avenues in ensuring the return of the students still in captivity. Members of the group also plan to reach out to professional bodies in a bid to chart a course for the safe return of the girls.
We continue to maintain that the government should do all it can by putting all options on the table to ensure that the girls are rescued. We've seen it happen in other climes and in different countries. Negotiations can be done if that is effective. If a military action is possible, it should be done. But government should put all options on the table and, in fact, ensure that such an incident do not happen again. As it is with news that we've heard from Borno, the states and neighboring states is still under great siege by the terrorists, and the government should ensure that the security is tightened up in such areas to ensure that such incidences do not happen again.
Well, the federal government today launched a fund for victims of terror in the country. The President, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, said the Victim Support Fund will go a long way towards providing succor to the victims. He also asked every Nigerian not to leave the victims to bear the brunt of terror alone.
One aspect of Nigerian culture I have always been proud of is our preparedness to always be our brothers and sisters' keeper. This was on display in 2012 when we experienced the natural calamity of flooding. As we fundraise today, I am confident that this quality, domiciled in the minds of our people, will once again give expression through your work and the generosity and large-heartedness of the good people of this great country. What Nigerians expect these events to demonstrate is a tragedy, though undesired, brings out the best and not the worst in us. We might be passing through some challenging and tough times. These times, as is often said, will not last. There is something constant in our culture as Nigerians. We do not allow fellow citizens to bear tragedy by themselves alone. It is true we are navigating a very challenging phase in our journey as a nation. This phase has brought out the extremes of inhumanity in the misguided elements who are hiding under the guise of religion to destroy a country we are working very, very hard to build. Collectively, rather than despair, we want to repair. The world only makes progress when we solve problems. Problems cannot solve themselves. Lamentation cannot solve problems. We solve problems by standing up and taking action. Nigerians are equal to the task.
A new Inspector General of Police has been appointed. He is Assistant Inspector General of Police Sulaiman Abba. Until his appointment, he was the AIG in charge of Zone 7. This appointment ends the career of all Deputy Inspectors General of Police and the outgoing Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Abubakar. Mr. Abba at various times served as the Commissioner of Police in charge of River State, Deputy Force Secretary, Deputy Commissioner of Police, and Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of the State CID FCT Police Command. Meanwhile, the President earlier held a meeting with the new Inspector General at the Presidential Villa. He was seen in the company of the outgoing Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Abubakar. And speaking to State House correspondents after the meeting, the outgoing police chief thanked the President and Nigerians for giving him the opportunity to serve. In part 2, after the break, Osogbo PDP holds mega rally in Osogbo ahead of the governorship election. That's in a moment. We join us together.